them before, you'll see them again. It's a Norton's TT, so here we go. Alright, so the segment starts just as we turn left. It's pretty beaut. Everyone knows 5.5k, 5%. If you've been in Adelaide, you've definitely done Norton's. So Jim Ryder's on the left, and there's like 2 or 3 other people behind us. He was trying to get this pace to a sub 15, like a 1450 roughly. I had no idea what that was, so I just sat next to him and just tapped it out. A little bit hard at the end, but mainly just quite chill, to be honest. I shouldn't have sat here in retrospect because the camera footage will be rather boring because it literally just looks like I'm going up the climb. It wasn't the most exciting of TTs because I think it just wasn't really super hard. It was sort of nice to go like a decent tempo up here. Up Norton's, I hadn't really done it before, like in a decent tempo, like the whole thing. I'd done intervals on it before, but only like parts of it or whatever. But yeah, it's quite a nice climb. It's not really very steep. Here's probably the steepest part, 6-7%. It basically just gets less steep the whole time. I think drafting is quite big, so it definitely would be lower wattage if I was behind everyone else, but I was like on the side because I wanted to talk, get some convo, because it's not every day you get a ride with a German rider, so I was like, get some convo with the lad. So yeah, it was quite nice. I mean, my convo was, I was talking not quite a lot, but like a decent amount here, but as we got up, I was like getting a bit more out of breath. I was like, let's just concentrate on the effort a bit more. And see the little shadow, the camera waving, I'm just getting out the saddle, just having a little chill. It's not too hard going up the climb. It's quite nice. I don't know, we're going decent pace, like 20 k's an hour and 6%, so you know, it was alright. And I think for me, like on these 5-6% climbs, my power is pretty similar to people who are weigh a little bit more than me. There's not that much dissimilar in terms of the power, maybe like 10-20 watts, just depends. Like the aero position I think is one thing that I wasn't doing as what a March German rider was a lot more aero often. He'd be in the drops a lot more, while I was more on the hoods, and not like in an aero position on the hoods, like sort of fully upright, which I think like it does definitely make a slight difference. Maybe not here as much because it's like 20 k's an hour and you're going relatively fast, but you're not going super fast, but when you're going like 25-30 k's an hour on the climb, so if we're going faster here, then it definitely would make a difference. And at the end, when it sort of flattens off a bit, gets down to about 3 or 4%, you pick up the speed a bit and you can definitely feel the aero advantage. Like behind, I was sort of doing 200 watts, 250 watts, and then here it's average about 300 or so. So it's not crazy wattage, but I think as someone else was saying on the Norton's TT, I can't remember who it was, when you ride with a group, even if you get dropped, you're just going to go so much faster because you've got dragged up it, and like you're going to push harder than you normally do. But also with the draft, it just means that you will go a lot faster. So you can see on the little shadow my position. My saddle, some people say, is a bit low. I quite like it like that. I'm slightly bent, really relaxed, trying to keep my body as still as possible. The weird thing is often I find on this camera angle here, it looks like you're almost going downhill, but you're not. It is definitely uphill, but it looks weird on the camera. But yeah, this is like quite a nice part. It's not too stressful. Norton's is just like a really chill climb. It's not really very hard at all. Anyone really can get up there with a bit of fitness. I mean, even if like you're very unfit, I still think you can get up just because it's just not steep at all. So as long as you pace yourself and don't just absolutely blow up, I think it'll be fine. Like you might, I guess maybe, yeah, if you were really unfit, you might need to stop or whatever. But I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't get up if you had like a stop or rest or something. For gearing, I mean, like for me, on this effort, I don't think I could have probably almost stayed biggering the whole time. Like it was quite fast, so gearing wasn't really an issue at all. If you're going slower, like it can be nice to have easy gears, but normally you're going slow enough so that like if you're going slow enough that you needed easier gears, and either like a 36-28 because my 32 isn't working. So in a 36-28 at like 200 watts for me, I'm still going like comfortable cadence, like 90 cadence. So if you're going really slow, like maybe 100-150 watts, like for me it's a small enough exertion that my cadence, if it's 80 or 75, it doesn't really matter. But obviously if you're less fit, then you might want to slightly easier gears. If you're at a 34-32, then I think you could definitely get up and it'll be fine. So I think for the majority of riders, gearing wouldn't be an issue on this climb at all. It's not really something you have to think about. Maybe you might want to think about big ring or not. I think for me, I think Durian Rider and some other people were on compact, so they were basically in the big ring the whole time because obviously the gear ratios are slightly smaller. But for me, I just decided to chill on the small ring until the very last part because I didn't know if we were going to sprint or what. I'd say that's, yeah, like, and obviously if you're going full gas, like if we were doing maybe more like a 12 or 13 minute TT, then yeah, you probably just could stay big ring. But you can see the heart rate's getting up there about 190. I mean, it's a bit irrelevant what it is, but like I am working. Like, this is not super easy. I felt really weird though, like on this effort, because normally when you're hurting, like your lungs, they sort of hurt, but not this. This felt like I almost had like a stomach ache or something. It felt really weird. Like my lungs just felt not very good. I'm not sure if it was the pollen because my eyes felt a bit bad at the end, or what, but it was really weird. I hadn't really felt like that ever. Like when I'd been doing FTP tests before or whatever, I just hadn't really felt like that. It was really odd. I'm not really sure how to describe it. It was sort of like, it's like, you know, when you're doing sort of a VO2 effort, and it sort of felt like that, but like a million times worse. I don't know, it was really odd. But at the end, I was like, actually, I was fine. I could have gone for a lot longer. But halfway up, I was like, I might get dropped or something, because I just felt really, really off. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah. So fortunately, I was okay. And this morning I went out on the bike and it was fine. So I think it was just, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just like, because normally I don't ride at the evening, so maybe I'd eaten too much food, I'd eaten too little food, I don't really know. But then after Norton's, when I went up to Mount Lofty, it was fine. So I think it might have just been like, wasn't used to the hard efforts, because I've been doing a lot more like sweet spots training and longer endurance rides, so I haven't really done much threshold in the last 2 or 3 months. I don't think I've done any since probably like September, when I was doing some hill climb stuff. That was when I was going over threshold. And maybe I did a bit, maybe like on some of the chain gangs I've done in Regent's Park, but like not really like a consistent 10-15 minute effort. So there was a car, so we just decided to go single file. You don't have to, but it's just polite. So you can see Durian Rider, it looks like he's not barely like trying. He's quite relaxed. Good cadence. Not really like pushing that much. You can see he's in the big ring as well. No bottle cage, which I thought was odd, but you know, I guess it's a TT. Didn't know he was going to turn up. If you want to go full gas, I left my saddle bag at home because I was like, probably won't get a puncture, and if I do, I've got pumps, so I can sort of just pump up my tire and just freewheel home, whatever. But in the end, it was irrelevant because we were just going for a nice chill, not chill, but like just a solid sort of tempo threshold effort, nothing full gas at all. So yeah, it was nice. It was really nice in the evening here actually, because it's not too hot. I mean, having said that, it's like 36 now, and it's like relatively late in the afternoon. But yesterday was quite nice, maybe like 25, 28 degrees, just very chill. No real wind, a bit of wind here or there, but you can see from the trees. I mean, the trees aren't always the best way. The best is a flag or something, but you can see from the trees that the branches are barely moving at all. So it's a little wind, which is always nice when you're trying to push it a little bit. You can see the power's pretty consistent. I'm surging a bit here or there because I seem to have lost my ability to climb because I've just been doing a lot of flat work recently, which is sort of good because it showed that my work has come off and I can hit higher numbers on the flat than on the climb, or not necessarily that, but more when I tested my FDP, that was on a climb, and that was when I was climbing well. So then obviously on the flat, then I did the same power and I built it up, but now on the climb, when I go back to the climb, because my fitness is probably a little worse. I wouldn't say I have the same power as I used to, because I've been doing more endurance stuff, but so it means that it's a little bit harder on the climbs, that I'm not as used to it. But you know, I think in a week or two I'll be back on it, back ready to climb again, because I've done like 5,000-6,000 meters of climbing so far, and it's Friday, so that was this week. So that's a lot more than I've been doing in London, because in London, I mean, it's quite hard to get to the climbs, and even when you get there, often you're doing really high power, fast speed climbs, so it's not really the same. So on this climb, it's actually probably easy because it is a faster climb, but when it gets down to like 15, 14 k's an hour, I find it a lot harder. than I used to, but it will come back. I'm confident in that. It's more just like I just need to reduce my power a little bit because my body's working the same intensity, and then as it would be before. Sorry, my body's working the same intensity but just producing lower numbers. So I just need to make sure I don't try and push it too hard because then might have problems, and also, or I just won't be able to complete the training session. But yeah, going up here, just very, very nice. You can see it's just amazing. There's literally just no traffic here. It's one thing that I really did notice on my first ride and every ride since then. You literally go up Norton Summit. I live like 1K away. I'm staying 1K away from Norton Summit at the moment, and you go up there and there's literally just no traffic. There's normally cyclists. I think I've seen cyclists every time. Saw some World Tour guys out there today, but there's just no cars, and it's just so nice. You don't have to worry about people running you over or whatever. You just there's no traffic. There's no waiting. You can just do your interval, do whatever you want, ride your bike, and it's all good. Which is just such a change from London and such a change from most cities. It's just it seems that Adelaide is very concentrated. Everything's so in the middle. It's quite busy, but then as soon as you get out into the hills, there's just no one really seems to come. I guess the thing is there's faster routes because you go on the freeway or whatever. You wouldn't go up here necessarily unless you really live here, which is nice and really, really good for training because you don't have to worry about anything. You can just go on the hill. So you can see that the speed's picking up a bit here. This is where it sort of starts to flatten off a bit. It's down to about 4%, picking up the speeds to 23, 24 k's an hour, which is really on the aero draft come. I mean, people say aero is more important when you're going over about 10 miles an hour. Some people say 25 k's an hour, but I think in that range, it's important, definitely. I think. But obviously, when you sort of get over 20 k's an hour, I think it really does become a lot more apparent, the draft. And then obviously over 35, 40, 50 k's an hour, you really do feel it massively. I think the percentage changes quite a lot from about 15, 16 k's an hour. You can definitely feel a little bit of draft, but not really. But when it moves up to 25 k's an hour, it's quite obvious. And it also just depends, obviously, if you have a headwind or a tailwind. If you have a headwind, then the draft's going to be stronger than if you have a tailwind, because the resultant of the wind is more against you. Well, sorry, the resultant of the wind is more in favour of you when you're doing a headwind, because obviously the person's drafting more energy. Sorry, I should explain that really bad. But anyway, when it's a headwind, it's basically just a lot easier to draft off. But yeah, so you can see. I'm starting to suffer a little bit. You can see I'm not. And Durian is not half wheeling me, but it's more instead of him half wheeling me, I'm doing the opposite of half wheeling, where I'm sort of slowing down a little bit. But he's trying to pace someone, so I was all right, I'll stay. But I feel sometimes when you get into this situation, you're I could probably attack now, but I can't really seem to sustain it. I don't know, there's something about, I find it quite hard to just sustain the same power for a very long time. I prefer doing spikes or whatever. But then I decided, right, it's time for me to cop a draft. So you'll see the power hasn't decreased yet, but you'll see when it flattens off. So it's still 5%, but when it gets down, it already has. Actually, I think the person who Harley was trying to pace was getting dropped a little bit, so he put the power down a little bit, which was nice and gave a bit of relaxing. But you can see now the power's down to 230 or whatever, and looking around, and this is coming to the end. I didn't know if I wanted to attack or not. I thought it might be a bit rude. Plus, it was supposed to be a rest day today. But anyway, it's good training nonetheless. Didn't really affect my intervals that much today, so I think it was fine. And it's also just nice meeting some other people to ride with, and seeing what the TT is all about. Obviously, it could have been a faster TT, but it was quite nice just chilling up the climb. So you can see here, it's really to 2%. This is coming to the end, and this is when if you're going full gas, you'd be going 30, 35, 40 k's an hour or something. Just because there's a slight tailwind on this part, or at least there was yesterday, but it's more the fact the gradient's sort of gone down. And here you can see I'm doing 150 watts. It's just really easy. And that sort of slightly ramps up again just before the line. And there's always this thing about the line. The line's basically just where the wooden hut is on the left. but I wasn't really chasing a big time. I think I'm like 500 out of 11,000, so it's not bad, but I definitely want to sort of get top 100 or something, which I can probably do if I focus on it and go out with a good group. That's the thing on this climb. It's not an individual effort. Like, yeah, if you're a pro rider, you could probably get like top. Well, if you're a pro rider, you could probably get a top 10 on your own. But if you're a weekend warrior like me, getting into the top 100 would be quite hard without a good draft, mainly because everyone else is drafting. So there you go. You can see on the left that we finished. Everyone's chilling out, seeing how it all went, seeing what the time was, and then we're going to continue on. So cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next vid.